don't look at too big of the picture. Don't look at the broad picture. Really narrow in like all of the things someone is doing if you are aspiring to be them.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Party on, listeners. Welcome to the Duo On Air, the most excellent show on the airwaves. I'm your host, Wayne.
And I'm Garth, the sidekick supreme. Dude, can you believe we're doing a podcast? It's like a public access TV show, but for your ears.
Totally, Garth. Today, we're diving deep into episode number 91, Marketing, Tricks and Treats. It's going to be a total swing fest.
Yeah. And remember, listeners, we're not worthy. We're not worthy. But we're going to give it our all anyway.
So strap in, crank up the volume on your cassette players, and let's rock this episode. Okay, can you guess who we are? Because we can't do that this whole episode.
Wayne's World, party time, excellent.
We'll share a little sneak of what we're looking like right now, and yeah, but Wayne's World.
Party on.
Let's do it. This is going to be a really fun kind of hot takes episode because sadly, marketing tricks don't just stick around for Halloween season. They're here all the time.
Boo.
So let's just get into it and stick around, especially if that was really hard to listen to. We apologize, but stick around because at the end of this episode, we're going to give you a digital trick or treat goodie bag and you're going to want to know how to get it. All right, let's get into those Halloween tricks, and not just Halloween tricks, but tricks that you probably see all year round. So the first one is that the belief that you have that SEO is hard, and it's not true. It's just not true. And in fact, we want to do a whole dang episode on this because we know that this is the number one thing holding you back from investing in SEO or trying to learn more about it or just overall understanding SEO in general, is that it's too hard. And even if you try it, it's not going to work for you. And friend, that is so not true. We've also been in your shoes because when we first started our business, we did not come from an SEO agency. We were not in SEO school, if that's even a thing. We didn't do those things, and we learned it, and we've now worked on, I counted the other day, it is over 80 websites that we have optimized, which is a heck of a lot. So it's not hard, friends. You can do it, and that is the first trick that you need to just note in your little brain that it's not hard.
I will say when we first started this business together, I didn't even know how to spell SEO, and
You're so funny.
Yeah, so I'm kind of self-taught, and Abby over here was also my teacher. So I thought you were going to break out into a tune for me or something.
I was going to break. I have my little white guitar here.
So yes, it is a lot easier when you just let go of that fear that it is.
And you get the right people on your side that lose the jargon and don't make you feel weird about it. And if there is someone you're following out there, or if there's an expert that you're really investing in their advice and they make you feel like you're not smart enough to do it, that's a sign that you maybe shouldn't learn from that person because you absolutely are smart enough to do it.
Yep, absolutely. So the second trick is we laugh at this one and we find this one pretty cringy. The promise of 6-figure months or years from your besties online. So first of all, I think that's just so it makes you feel like you're not in the right place in your business when you don't reach that. So when somebody's like, if you do this for X amount of months, or if you do this, or if you launch this thing the way that I'm launching it, you're going to have 6-figure months, or you're going to make 6 figures in a couple of days while you sleep. And that, sure, maybe it works for some people, but realistically, for the majority of us, that's just not how our businesses work. And it's just kind of exhausting to see people promising that over and over, or like kind of, this is going to sound really mean, but like they're kind of like up on their high horse, like I made 6 figures and all I had to do with this is
It's
this.
it's a salesy thing to say.
It's just kind of
they're not telling you that because they want you to get 6 figures. It's a way to sell their program to maintain their 6 figures or whatever. Which also, I would also like to note that just whatever that bottom revenue line is does not mean that is what they are taking home, because a
Right.
lot of times people are spending money on a massive amount of contractors, employees, services, tools, and they actually aren't taking a profit at the end of the day.
Right.
So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that it doesn't matter what that revenue number is, what they're bringing home every month, what they're bringing home every year, because it's not apples to apples with your business. And they might have a lot more expenses, and you, in fact, might be making more money than them. Like it's all just a metric that is taken out of context and used in a salesy way, especially on social media.
Yeah.
That's just gross. It's just gross. It's like a huge pet peeve of ours.
And also, it's not like it doesn't take work. Like I guarantee you, these people like worked their asses off to get to that 6-figure number. But the way that they market it kind of makes it sound like you don't have to do any of the work and you're just going to make that much money overnight.
Easy.
Which is not true. It's
Yeah.
just not true.
No, just not true. So this is why we called this a hot takes episode, because sure, this say it works for someone talking about their 6-figure sales strategy, whatever, but it's just, it's just gross. We just don't like
Right.
it.
And we're probably pissing some people off right now by
We don't
saying
like it.
but
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Another kind of pet peeve of ours is anyone who guarantees results. And this is something that's especially true in the SEO world. And this is a question I get asked a lot on our discovery calls of, what kind of results can you guarantee, or what kind of results can you give? And the very first thing I say is, I don't guarantee results, nor should you trust anyone who does, because the world of organic marketing, non-paid marketing, and SEO in general, you don't control that. You can't control your performance. Also, the world of SEO is a different competitive level for everyone. What keywords you're going after, who else is competing for you in this space. That all brings a different layer of complexity to how successful you might be. And I can't tell you whether you're going to be super successful or not until you get into that research. And anyone who promises you success or ROI is likely using that as a sales metric, or might be using kind of shady tactics to get there, because that means at all cost, they're going to show you growth, even if it's not true. Because let me tell you, you can spin the numbers no matter what. Like you can spin them to work for you. I mean, we worked in the agency world, and like people do that all the time. People spin the numbers to show you the positives and they leave out the bad. And we're not afraid of the bad. Like we're not afraid to show you when something isn't working, and then to give you a strategy to make it work moving forward. And I think that's what a good partner should do for you.
I also think results come from how much you put in too. So or if you like give everything to this person that says they're going to give you the results that you want, the thing, like what we like to do is partner with people. So we teach you, we give you the tools, but we also want you to take it and run with it. And it really depends on the amount of passion that you have to take that and run with it and put into it. So what you put into it is normally what you're going to get out of it. So I think a lot of it kind of is on you too, with the results that you want to get and how much you're willing to kind of work for those.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that anyone is going to be an overnight success. There's usually so much. Like, have you seen that graphic of like the iceberg of like you can see the top of the iceberg and not see like
the bottom,
all the crap that's underneath, all the stuff you did to get there. That is 99.9% of the time. Sure, sometimes some people get lucky, but you can't depend on that. Like you can't depend on that for your business. And people work to get there. So yeah.
All right, the next one. This is my favorite. That your logo is the most important brand asset. This could not be any further from the truth. And if you've followed along on our socials or on our podcast, we talk about this a lot. But a lot of people, I think, get very hung up on the logo. They think that that is their brand, but your brand is so much more than your logo. It's actually kind of funny. Like your logo actually is probably one of the least like the brand asset that like matters.
Can we talk about ours?
But yeah, I mean, seriously, we're like a prime example of this because I think the only place that our logo lives right now is probably our website, and it's teeny, teeny, tiny up in the left-hand corner. And otherwise we don't use it anywhere else because there's no need to, because we are actually the face of our brand. People see us, they see Abby and myself, and they're like, oh, that's Duo Collective. Those are the girls that run that business. They are the duo. And our faces and us in costumes and us in wigs are more part of our brand than that of our logo. People don't look at our logo and think, oh, that's their brand. They look at us. So a huge part of your brand is actually you and how you show up and how you converse and communicate with your audience. That is so much more important than your logo, because at the end of the day, I guarantee you, I would love to know how many of your listeners right now that follow along, that have listened to us and like been there for a while, actually know what our logo looks like, because I guarantee you probably don't, which is fine, because like we said, it's not the most important brand asset that you have. Is it a part of it? Yes. And should you have a main logo? Obviously, of course, but it is nowhere near that main piece of what your brand should do. Essentially, you are more of the brand than your logo.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite brand asset to create?
I would say one of my favorite brand assets to create is probably patterns and icons, because those things can be so unique and specific to each brand. At the end of the day, a logo usually is, words, obviously, and then maybe different colors and maybe an icon or a shape. But patterns and icons, you can get so specific. We're in the middle of a rebrand right now, and we've got some really fun icons that are like very specific to us. So you'll see those eventually. But those are the most fun pieces to create. And I think a lot of people forget about patterns and icons. They're like, how am I going to use these? What's the point of these? Like, this isn't a brand. A brand is a logo, fonts, and colors. And you're like, no, these are the pieces that really take your brand and make it stand out and make you different.
Absolutely. And if you haven't thought through like the pieces, like the visuals are one piece of it. If you haven't thought through the strategy side and defining what your brand personality is, what your brand voice is, all of that stuff is so important. And it's even more important now with AI tools. Like if you're using AI tools to help build on your brand and write content for your brand, you have to have those defined, because you have to be able to tell AI what your personality is, what your voice is, who you're reaching, who your audience is, and then you're going to get much better content. And speaking of, that may or may not be something that is in the trick or treat bag that you'll get at the end of this episode.
Swing.
All right, so the next trick that we have in the bucket is bots and fake followers, and just in general, focusing on vanity metrics that don't matter. And this actually comes into play more than just Instagram, because I have seen people buy fake website traffic so that they can amp up their website traffic for influencers, for product sponsorships, for blog sponsorships, for running ads. And at the end of the day, those people don't convert, and people will find that out. If you have thousands of followers and no engagement, or engagement that doesn't translate to sales, or
spammy engagement.
Yeah, spammy engagement, or you have thousands of followers, but you never get an inquiry from Instagram. Like if you never get inquiries from Instagram, what's the point? What's the point of having all of these vanity metrics if no one is giving you their money? Right. There's no point.
Also, I think the thing that rubs me the wrong way when it comes to stuff like that too is like, you don't know how you're growing after you've bought in those followers. You can't actually track those insights very well, because you kind of just threw that all out the window
Mhm.
because you're not getting that true engagement. You're not getting those true followers or likes or comments. And I think that's just really unfortunate because at the end of the day, then you don't really know how you're growing in that particular space.
Yeah. And actually cleaning up your followers is actually a really beneficial thing to do because it can improve your engagement, because your engagement rate and all of that kind of those analytical metrics are based on the total reach. And if you are reaching people who are never engaging with you, what's the point? So if
Mhm.
you actually scroll through your follower, the people who follow you, and scroll through them, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll likely see that there's people missing. Like some people don't have profile pictures or, they're private. So like those are real people, but you'll be able to tell which are bots. Like they're people who don't have any posts. They're following people, but no one's following them.
Yeah, the no post
They're
things it's like,
yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of really weird things and you can kind of tell right away. And if you just start kind of removing these people from your list, that can actually boost your overall analytics because
Mhm.
you're going to start reaching people and the algorithm is going to know who you want to reach based on the people following you. So it's a slow process. Like growing, especially on Instagram, can feel like a slow process because of all those other tricks out there of people being like, I got 500,000 followers in 1 week. Here's how I did it with my exclusive Reels strategy. And you're like, oh, great, cool, thanks.
Mhm.
So it's something that like it just takes time. Give yourself grace and just keep doing it. The more consistent you'll be, the better you'll see it perform for you
Mhm.
over time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just more authentic and it just feels better to be
It does.
authentic,
Yeah.
especially in the social space. Like the idea of the reason for the social space is to show up digitally and be social.
And
So
connect with people.
Yes.
Create connections that whether it turns into a client or someone buying your product or it turns into a
friend
collaboration
or a
or a
collaboration,
friend.
yep.
Yeah, there's so many benefits to it. So don't use it as a scammy, salesy tactic. Use it as a way to create connection with your audience of people you'd never otherwise get to meet.
In today's day and age, that's probably how Garth and Wayne would have met.
Yeah, probably. I will say the bangs are killing me on this wig right now.
Also, who thinks that Abby should dye her hair black?
No one.
Because I
No
think
one.
so.
No one thinks that. I'm too white for that. Oh my goodness. Like translucent.
Okay. So the next trick is the idea that there is a one kind of marketing blueprint for everybody or a one size fits all marketing strategy. And that is so far from the truth. I think even when we first started Duo, we weren't totally sure how we were going to market ourselves. I think we were kind of like, we're going to do this. We know what we're good at, but who are we going to market to, or what do we want to do, or how are we going to market? And the one thing we knew is we wanted to do organic marketing. So nothing paid, everything just organic and in our field. So branding and SEO. But we needed to hire a coach in order to kind of know how we should put one foot in front of the other. And we had to find the right coach for us. And that took a little bit of research. But I think it's really just finding a coach who is doing what you want to do. And then that's kind of the blueprint that you need. So whether it be following them and learning from them or actually hiring them, that's where you want to start essentially. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to pivot, because you could definitely pivot years down the road. But if you see anything out there that's like this one size marketing fits all, that is so not. That's not true.
No, and chances are you're probably watching someone who's doing something completely different than you. They're selling to a completely different audience. They're selling completely different products. They're selling completely different services. That isn't apples to apples. You can't take their blueprint and apply it to your business. It's not going to work. And even if you look at people like, I want to be like Amy Porterfield. I want to be like Jenna Kutcher.
Mhm.
I want to be these people who are making millions of dollars, and that's what I want to be. And I'm going to sell a course to do it. Yes, they do sell courses that brings in a lot of their revenue, but what are they doing to get there? Like you have to look at more than just that. You have to
Mhm.
look at how are they launching their sales? What tools do they use? How are they bringing in their audience? What kind of freebies do they have? What's their email marketing strategy? How are they sharing their content on social media?
Mhm.
There's so many more things that are happening in between this person sells a course I'm going to sell a course and now I can be like them. There's so many more things that you need to get a magnifying glass to look at to like find that blueprint. And also, what works well for them might not work well for you. And that's okay.
They might have a completely different audience than you do too.
And like, for example, Jenna shares so much lifestyle content,
Mhm.
like tons of lifestyle content. And that's great. That works for her. She likes sharing that and sharing her life in the behind the scenes, and her audience likes it. And it resonates well to sell her courses. That might not work for you. You like, even for us, we actually find it hard sometimes to share personal life stuff.
Yeah. And we always said we wanted to be like Jenna Kutcher. So
Yeah, right? So it's
maybe someday, but like we definitely are not taking the same steps that she's doing right now. And that's fine.
And
we're
that's
different.
okay. Like there are definitely bits and pieces that our audience that we share with like our email list. Like you've probably heard about my sourdough bread journey, like things like that. You'll hear about these little like tidbits of things of our life, but it's not our Instagram feed. We actually focus more on our partnership and our business relationship. And like, that's perfect and great.
Content for you guys that we know is relevant within the SEO and the branding space.
And this feels right for us.
Yes.
It does not feel right for us to just start talking about the types of clothes we like to wear or how our home is decorated or like anything like that would not make sense for us.
You don't want to see what I wear every day. You'd be like, does she ever change out of
wigs,
yoga
different
pants?
different wigs every day. Yeah. So it's just making sure that you don't look at too big of the picture. Don't look at the broad picture. Really narrow in at like all of the things someone is doing if you are aspiring to be them. Removing the whole I need to do it the same way, and really just sitting down and understanding what you like to do and how you can infuse your own approach to it rather than this copy paste blueprint strategy.
Yes,
so
exactly.
The next one is repurposing your content or not your content, repurposing someone else's content. This has been an issue, I would say, on Instagram more than anything, of like people resharing posts and not crediting the original person. If we ever reshare something, we do it multiple ways.
Yes.
We ask them in the DMs first. Then we share it, we tag them in the comment, and we tag them in the post.
Yes.
And that is the best way to make sure that people know that this is not our work, it is someone else's. And I think that's so important.
Yeah. We actually haven't done that in quite a while, and that's okay. I mean, resharing somebody's content is totally fine as long as you get the right permission. And it is very important to reach out, especially in their DMs, because some people have guidelines on how they want you to reshare their stuff. So it's not as simple as just like reposting their photo and tagging them. Some people say, okay, I need you to tag me before, quote unquote, before the fold. So essentially, you have to tag them right away. If your caption is super long, they don't want to be at the very end. They might want to be recognized right away so that somebody knows that that's their content and that we're resharing it. So some people have very specific ways that they want their stuff reshared, and that's okay.
Yeah. And super important if you're sharing any like user generated content. Like if you're a product business and you're sharing other people using your product, making sure you have their approval is so, so important. And that honestly, it doesn't need to be super formal. It can just be a DM.
Yes.
So the other thing too is testimonials. So we get this question a lot because testimonials is obviously really great for an SEO perspective because people are talking about you online. Always good for SEO. But people ask too, so Google says that it's illegal to pay for testimonials. And we have a lot of clients, and even we do this sometimes ourselves, where we say, hey, leave us a testimonial, we'll give you a $5 Starbucks gift card. And now everyone's like, ooh, am I like, this is against Google's rules. Can I be doing this? It's technically not against Google's rules as long as you are not requiring them to leave you a 5-star rating. You cannot say, leave me 5 stars, say I'm the best person ever, and I'll give you a Starbucks gift card. So make sure that it's open-ended. It is, hey, leave a review of any kind. However you think of me, what would you tell someone else who wants to work with me? And in return for your time, I will give you a Starbucks gift card, not for the review, but for the time that you have taken to out of your day to complete this for me. So that is absolutely okay, but making sure that, again, you have approval to do so. Like you're asking for approval.
Yes.
And if you are adding those to your website, you should also ask your clients for approval via email, because the thing with Google is if someone logs into Google Maps or Google in general and wants to change their review, especially for people who have like long-term clients or they buy your products for years and years, all of a sudden they want to change their review because something changed and they're all of a sudden went from happy to not happy, or the opposite, they went from not happy to happy. Google allows them to change it. And if they change it and you have it pasted on your website, then someone can't make those changes. So making sure that you've asked for approval and kind of have that saved away can just help you from any kind of legal snafu.
Yes. So the next trick is black hat SEO strategies. So we've talked about this a little in the social space and probably a blog, probably episodes, actually episode 19
yeah.
specifically. So this is basically doing anything with SEO where you're trying to be a little like sneaky to get more Google like clicks to have people find you, and stuff like that includes hiding text or keywords on your website. I think we've had not a lot of people, but we've definitely had people be like, so can I just write all of this copy and like change it to white on a white background so nobody sees it, but Google is still crawling it, and that's a huge no-no, and Google can actually detect that and they will ding you for it. Another one is buying backlinks. So that's kind of I don't know, is that kind of, it's like buying bots, essentially. Yeah. You're buying backlinks. So buying bots on Instagram makes it look like you've got a ton of followers. Buying backlinks kind of does the same thing. Like you've got all of this amazing content. But again, these are things that Google's smart, and they know that you're doing these, and you will get dinged for it. Creating poor content, Google can tell this. So you can't just, creating just like a ton of content, right? Quality is way better than quantity when it comes to this, and consistency. So if you can only do, one blog post a week or a month, be consistent with that versus cranking out a ton of unquality, like not great content. That is just another black hat SEO strategy. And, I think that's
episode 19 we list out a bunch of different kind of black hat strategies. Black hat is really just it's just a term that they call bad strategies. Chances are if it gives you the ick when you think about it, like, oh, this seems like I'm cheating, or this seems kind of gross, then it likely is wrong. Like it should feel authentic and good when you're doing a strategy like this. All right. So the next trick in the book is avoiding AI because you think you're smarter or you're better.
Or you're scared of it.
Yeah. Or maybe you're scared of it. I recently was looking at a post on a Facebook community. Can't even remember what one it is now, but it was all about like AI and how people feel about it and using it in their business. And someone commented saying, I don't use AI. I went to school for marketing. I have much better strategies and ideas, and I don't think it's fair to my clients that I use AI rather than using my own brain.
I feel like I want to go look at the comments section and see how that blew up.
Right. I'm one of those people that when I see a post, then I'm like, oh, I want to see like what crazy people are saying in the comments.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just like watching the dumpster fire burn. But I read that and I was like, I am sure a lot of people are feeling that way, especially marketers. They're probably feeling like AI is a cheater, like it's a cheat code. And I think this is so far from the truth. I think really, if you're not using AI, I think you're going to fall behind. And I say that with like so much like heart to just jump in and start using it because it's really not going anywhere. And you can use it in a way that feels like cheating, where it's just going to write things for you and do it for you, and you copy and paste and you finish it. But the people who are going to use AI to their advantage are going to use it as a helper. Like you should think of AI as your intern. Would you let your intern just run your business without you watching them? No, you wouldn't. You would double check their work. You would train them. You would educate them on how they could write this a little bit better for you next time. You would be teaching them how to do those things for you. So that's how you should treat AI. You should have AI help take a little bit of the work off your plate, but then you should be educating AI and you should be tweaking the final product. And you should be doing all of that work to then make the content better while also saving you more time and being more efficient. And that's where you're really going to shine, by using AI tools and even just things like ChatGPT.
Mhm.
And we have some really fun tricks for you and some of our favorite AI tools that we have been using and loving in your little goodie bag at the end. So stay tuned.
Yay. Okay, so the next one is pivot overload. How do they say it in Friends? You're a Friends. Does he just like scream pivot?
Oh, pivot, pivot, Ross. Yeah.
So funny. So basically jumping from one thing to the next without waiting for the traction or the real results from that other thing that you just did. I would say sometimes this is something that we are not great at.
Yeah.
I think we
jump.
get really excited about things. Sometimes it's that like new shiny object or that new thing that somebody just did, and we kind of want to do something like that because we think it makes sense for our business, and we get so overly excited and passionate about it that we just like dive in, and then something else comes along and we're like, oh, we kind of want to do that too. So we're kind of at fault for this sometimes, but I think we have recognized it. We've said it out loud to each other and we're working on it. But it can be so easy to do stuff like that, to launch something and then you don't get the results that you expected as soon as you expected, and you don't actually kind of let it sit there and work for a certain amount of time, right? You are like, you instantly launch something, you think you're going to make that, that 6 digits overnight or 6 figures overnight, and you don't, and you're kind of like, okay, well, I got to pivot to something else. And so then you pivot to something else because it didn't make you the money that you thought it would instantaneously. So I think it's really just working on the things that you know are going to move your business forward, and not having that shiny object syndrome, and letting that course or whatever it might be, kind of after you launch it, let it sit, keep marketing it, keep doing your thing, keep talking about it, but don't immediately be like, well, I didn't make the sales I thought I would in week 1. That's okay. Like, that happens. It's happened to us before and we're living proof of that. So don't think that it didn't work, because it still might be working. You just have to give it time.
It's like, business is very much like sports. Like, if you played any sports growing up or still do now, it's something where like you have to practice. Like, you're not just going to go to your first game and hit home runs and never miss a pop fly and all of the things. You have to practice, and the more you practice, the better you get, the more consistent you get, and the better results you see. And the same thing with business. If you created a product, if you created a course, if you created a podcast, if you created anything and you believe in it, then you need to do the hard work to keep practicing selling it, and the results will come. And it might not be like, the end product might be great, but maybe it's defining your audience. Like, maybe you need to tweak who you're selling to. Maybe you need to tweak how you're selling to. Maybe you just need a bigger audience, and so you need to work on brand awareness. Whatever it is, it's practice, just like sports.
Yeah. And learning from your mistakes, like, because you're going to make mistakes in sports just like you will in business. And it's okay to take those learnings and apply them differently to your business. And it's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. If we didn't make mistakes in our businesses, we, might not figure out what, if we do end up pivoting, it might be because we made a mistake and we learned from it. So I think it's totally okay to make those mistakes, to give yourself grace when you make those mistakes, and to learn from them and do it differently the next time.
Absolutely. And the very last trick we have for you today is not investing in your business and hoarding all your cash for a rainy day.
Sounds great.
Yeah, right. It sounds really great to watch that bank account grow. But also it's something that if you're not making investments in your business, how can you expect other people to invest in you? You're asking your customers and your clients to invest their dollars in you. Why? Like, think about that for a second, of like, where are you putting your dollars? What are you investing your time in? How are you going to make yourself better for your clients or for your customers? And I think when you take that approach to it, it kind of changes the perspective. Like, you should always be investing in yourself. And it doesn't have to just be business related content. It doesn't have to be hiring a bookkeeper. It doesn't have to be hiring a coach. It could be you taking a week and like shutting off social media and going to some like beautiful retreat or something where you can have like a fresh brain and a journal and really just have yourself to ideate your next year with.
Mhm.
It does not have to be something that feels like a new course or a new product or something like that. It can just be you really just investing in yourself in the time and giving yourself some of that break and rest, because
And that can
that's the
feel
same thing.
selfish sometimes, but it's not. And I think a lot of us can be like, oh, well, that's really selfish to buy a massage or go on a retreat with my business, or like my business account or whatever. But I think it's really important to realize that I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs and small business owners don't reward ourselves enough. Abby and I were just talking about this earlier today, that we don't celebrate the milestones like we should when we should. And so we're like, oh, we'll just loop it into the holiday party and like give ourselves a big old cheers and pat on the back then. But it's okay to, do things like that. That is investing in you and your business and rewarding yourself. So like Abby said, it doesn't have to be an accountant or a bookkeeper. It can be things like that help your mental state and your emotional state within your business as well.
Yeah. And speaking of, also talk to your bookkeeper if you have one about
Yes.
about what you want to invest your money in, because they could also give you tips on like, oh, this is like tax deductible, or just know like, great, you can still spend those dollars, but it's not tax deductible. Things like that can be definitely good to understand. But I will tell you that we invest in things that aren't tax deductible all the time because we know that we need it and deserve it and all of that good stuff.
This was a really hard thing for me when we first started. Anytime I wanted to make like even a $5 purchase, I'd be like, hey, Abby, I'm at Target and I could really use this for my desk or whatever it was. And I'm like, it's like $7.99. And she's like, are you kidding me right now?
Why are you asking me for permission?
And I'm like, oh, I just want to make sure it's okay. Like our books are fine and like it's for the business. And
we've come a long way since then. Courtney just the other day is like, oh, I put my groceries on the Duo card.
Yeah.
So
it's the only thing we had. We were checking out and my husband's like, do you have our card? And I'm like, yeah, I should. And he took it out of my little wallet. So all I had was the Duo one. So I was like, okay, well, shoot, Abby. He was going to go home. Like our groceries were going to the bag. And he's like, oh, I got to run home. And I'm like, no, I'm just using Duo. I'm going to reimburse us. It's going to be fine. So Duo just bought groceries.
Madison, our bookkeeper, is amazing. And thankfully she fixes, thankfully she fixes our books every month when we make screw ups like that, because
so that's okay to do too. If you screw up, if you use the wrong card, you're fine.
It is what it is.
You'll just
And there you have it. All of our Halloween tricks that last all year long, and there will be so many more. But the good news is that we have treats for you. And those treats come in the form of some of our favorite AI tools that we're loving right now. We have some little fun email templates for you, AI prompts for you. What else do we have in there?
Just a bunch of resources.
Yeah, resources, things we're loving. I think sometimes things that we're investing in pretty soon. I think we really love to see like what things people are putting their money behind and what people are investing in. And so we want to share that with you too, so you can get a little peek behind the curtain. So there are just a lot of goodies in there. So if you go to duocollective.com/trick or treat, that is where you will find it. Yay. So go check it out and let us know what you think. And happy Halloween.
Swing.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.